This is a production from the Takedown Sports. What's up, guys? T-Brown31 here from the Takedown Sports, along with Jaboc the Great, and this is another episode of The Last Word. We got some great topics we'll be hitting pretty fast today, so what's coming up?
So, we'll be talking about Julian Edelman's retirement and whether or not he is a Hall of Famer. We'll also be discussing the Browns signing Jadeveon Clowney and Andre Drummond's recent struggles.
Yeah, that sounds great, but the first thing we got to start out with is the unfortunate retirement of Lamarcus Aldridge.
So, for those of you unaware, today, as of the day we're recording, Lamarcus Aldridge has announced his retirement from the NBA after 15 seasons due to irregular heartbeat problems in his recent game against the Lakers. He essentially said that he's fine now, feeling fine now, but that was like terrifying, and he's just gonna focus on his family and his health now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to see, because if you remember the Chris Bosh situation, he had blood clots. He had to retire, a lot earlier than he wanted to. Now, Lamarcus Aldridge isn't a young man by any means, about to turn 36, but he still, had a little bit in the tank. So I feel like he could have helped Brooklyn a lot, not like he's not KD, obviously, but I think he could have helped Brooklyn a lot once they got to playoff with his experience. He's been in the league since 2006, obviously. So, yeah, it's just overall kind of unfortunate that he had to retire. Right as soon
Yeah,
as he gets
I
to the net.
agree.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a really big piece, or would have been a really big piece for Brooklyn, especially when it came playoff time. For like you said, he had the veteran experience. I mean, he's a pretty proven player as well, and he's as soon as he got to Brooklyn, became a pretty useful asset. But I understand like your health and stuff. You definitely don't want to put your life in danger for a game. So, and like you said, he's about to be 36. So 36, already dealing with like heart problems and stuff. Probably a good time to hang him up. So. Um,
Yeah.
we're gonna ask this or discuss this as well with another player later. But would you say that Lamarcus is a Hall of Famer or no?
I'd say he's yeah, but not like obviously like he's not going to be getting in his first time. Now, I'm not as familiar with the NBA's process.
Yeah,
But I think the NBA is also a lot more lenient, I guess, as far as
me too.
because I mean it's not like the NBA Hall of Fame, it's just the basketball Hall of Fame period, obviously.
Yeah,
So I think they're a lot more lenient with who they let get in. So yeah, he's obviously not like a top 25 player of all time or anything, but I think he'll probably get in eventually. Like I said, I don't think it'll be, his first year he won't get in, I don't think. But especially with who will probably go in alongside him.
yeah,
You'll get guys that been in the top of the league that'll be up for Hall of Fame consideration at the same time as him. So he'll probably have to wait a little bit, but I think he'll get in.
yeah. I pretty much agree with your assessment. I don't think he'll get in on the first year, but I definitely think he should get in, and I definitely think he will after a few years of being up for consideration.
Yeah, I wish, you know, growing up with Lamarcus in Portland, I
Yeah,
figured he would kind of be that guy in San Antonio, but he just never really, he wasn't really that guy. He did post one of his best years in 2017. He averaged 23 and 8, which is pretty close to his career high. But once he got to San Antonio, I just didn't feel like he was the same dude.
yeah. I don't think San Antonio was as good of a fit for him as Portland was, or even as
Yeah.
Brooklyn turned out to be for that short stint. So that was just kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. But, overall, he did have a good career. He made 7 All-Star teams. He made the playoffs a lot of times in his career.
Mhm.
He made multiple All NBA teams. So either way, It's nothing to be mad about. He had a great career. Now to be satisfied with it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, so that'll be it on Lamarcus Aldridge. Next up, we'll be talking about another retirement, but this time in the NFL. All right, guys. So now we're going to get into the retirement of Julian Edelman. So Julian Edelman was a receiver for the New England Patriots since 2009, and he announced his retirement earlier in the week. So Julian has compiled a total of 620 catches over his career with just under 7,000 yards and 36 touchdowns. But more importantly, he has 1,500 receiving yards almost in the postseason, totaling 5 touchdowns as well receiving. His receiving yards total is second all time in the postseason, just behind the great Jerry Rice. He is also a Super Bowl MVP, winning that Super Bowl MVP against the Rams just 2 years ago.
Yeah, so Julian Edelman definitely has an impressive, kind of armada of awards and things like that, or achievements, you'd say. But one of the biggest debates as soon as he retired was, is Julian Edelman truly a Hall of Famer? And you got people that are just staunch on no, they think he's nowhere even close to it. Some people think he's in the middle, and some people are just already going ahead and saying, yeah, for sure. And so, of course, Terrence and I are going to give you the last word on the topic, and we are going to tell you whether or not he really is a Hall of Famer. So, you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Now, I'll go ahead and say straight up, he's not. Look, there is multiple points on the line between garbage and the Hall of Famer. I don't like if you can say someone's a great player, they had a great career. Like Julian had a great career, Super Bowl MVP, considering where he came from, being that he was a quarterback in college, switched receiver, being a slot receiver pretty much his whole career. And everybody talks about his toughness, his will, that he's gritty, everything. But that doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer. Like the main argument for his Hall of Fame status is that he's very clutch in the postseason. Obviously, he was Super Bowl MVP. He's come up big in games for the Patriots over the past decade. And also, as I mentioned, the fact that he has the second most receiving yards in the playoffs, just behind the greatest receiver to ever play the game. But to be fair, he did play darn near 20 playoff games. He started 15 of those. Look at the team that he played for. He played for the team that's probably had the greatest dynasty in football, arguably 6 championships in 20 years of just about. I agree. Like he was insanely clutch in the playoffs. And the fact that he's right behind Jerry Rice is honestly pretty insane. Even with the fact that he's played those 20 games is still, a crazy stat. But you can't just say he's a Hall of Famer just because of that. If you look at his regular season, it's just not good. He had 3 seasons where he was over 1,000 yards, the highest being 1,100 in 2019, Tom Brady's last year there. Besides that, he's had seasons where he's had, 600, 800, a few seasons where he had less than 100. He was injured or he didn't start in a lot of those seasons. But he just wasn't really good in the regular season. 6,800 yards and, barely under 7,000 is just not good when you tally it next to other receivers that are in the Hall of Fame and receivers that will be in the Hall of Fame. I think if you take his playoff performances, you can say, yeah, he's a great guy. He should be in the Hall of Fame. But how many other people could do exactly what Julian Edelman did? Like disregard his background because, like I said, that was amazing, but it has nothing to do with anything if we're talking about the totality of his career. But that's just my opinion there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, and I mean, you hit some of the biggest reasons that I would give as well. I do think that Julian Edelman had a pretty legendary career, but I also don't want to let people think that the term legendary equates to Hall of Fame. And the biggest problem that I have with it is, like, I think if his postseason accomplishments were equal to his regular season accomplishments, or I guess I should say that
Yes.
backwards. If they were equal, sure, easy in. But the problem is that his regular season stats are so lackluster compared to what he does in the postseason. Like, if you were just to watch the regular season, and then somebody was to tell you this man was like a Super Bowl MVP, you'd probably be extremely confused, because a lot of times he just kind of wasn't there. And he did battle some injuries, but like Terrence said, just a lot of low receiving yard seasons where, like, he just wasn't a threat in the regular season games. And being a primary weapon for Tom Brady on paper, and then not being like a big number, or having bigger numbers in the actual games, is kind of disappointing. So I would say that just his lack of production in the regular season is the reason that I would keep him out of the Hall of Fame. The just having an insane postseason career is not enough. You need to be consistent with both, or just be like really, really, really great in one. And even though it sounds like he's exceptional in the postseason, there's some players that have done a lot more than he has, and would put his like accomplishments to shame, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure if he's actually eligible for the Hall of Fame or not. I'm not really sure. I think you have to have like at least like a Pro Bowl and All Pro, some other stuff to be selected for the Hall of Fame. And he doesn't even have a single Pro Bowl selection. And the Pro Bowl, I don't think we should really use the Pro Bowl as a metric for how great you are, considering a lot of it is popularity. It's
Yeah.
so easy to get in. But in that sense, you think, okay, he could at least have one, just
Yeah.
one. Like, we can acknowledge how great of a career this dude had, where he started, his performance in the Super Bowl, pretty much single-handedly winning it, considering how bad the game was. Without saying like, yo, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And you can bring up the Eli comparison. I don't really feel like Eli deserves it either, but considering he did win 2 and he beat Tom Brady, twice, obviously being that undefeated team, he's got legendary status for that. But at least
Yeah.
Eli has more of an argument, still.
I'd probably argue for Eli, but of course that's not what we're here to debate on today. But like, exactly, it just you put Edelman up against Eli, who is questionable. Edelman's even more questionable, and so that just kind of makes it already like an easy answer for no. And like you said, the Pro Bowl is super easy to get into, and him not even like being a selection is kind of disappointing, and should already just say like that's it for him.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, if you want to make the argument that, the Patriots are more about the system than the standout players, I mean, they haven't had like tons of players that have been, top 5 at the position all time or anything, but they've had a lot of good players. Ty
Yeah.
Law just went into the Hall of Fame. Guys like Richard Seymour. They did have Randy Moss for a few years. Gronk, obviously. It's not like they've had complete scrubs in Tom Brady. So you can still shine while being on the Patriots. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I would say to just finish out that argument of like the systematic thing for the Patriots, Tom Brady, by leaving the Patriots, kind of showed that he's not a system quarterback. He did just fine in Tampa this past season. I'm not sure, considering how low Edelman's production was in the regular season under the Patriot system. I'm not sure that if he was to leave that system, he would do well at all.
yeah. I mean, we see that with Patriots players all the time. They don't thrive as well when they leave.
Yeah.
But I mean, that none of this is to take away from the fact that he had a great career. Like, I'll just reiterate that. But Hall of Famer, no.
Yeah. So there you have it. The last word on, is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer? Definitely not.
Right. All right, y'all. So next up is Jadeveon Clowney signing a deal with the Cleveland Browns. It's a 1-year contract worth up to $10 million for the 28-year-old defensive and edge rusher, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call him.
So Yeah, like Terrence said, it's a 1 year, $10 million deal. And this comes off of a kind of lackluster season with the Titans, where I would say that Clowney fumbled the bag. He was offered a 3 year, $57 million deal by the Browns that he declined to sign with the Titans, put up 0 sacks with the Titans, and now he's with the Browns anyway, just on a much, much smaller deal.
Yeah, you cannot be an edge rusher in this league now and only get 8 sacks. I mean, excuse me, only get 0 sacks in 8 games. Like, I understood. Like, if he only played 3 games or something, maybe. But you play
Yeah,
half the season and you start and you don't get a single sack. That's unacceptable.
especially
Um,
as a first round pick, or the number
yeah,
one pick, I
the number one pick in the draft, and you don't even register a single sack. Like his other season doing that was his rookie year, but he was injured pretty much the entire season there.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But you play half a season, you have to get at least 1 sack. Um, Now, as far as how I think he'll do, I really don't know. Uh, I think being paired with Myles Garrett, who's one of the best edge rushers in the league, period, one of the best players in the league on defense. Um, I think that should help because Miles is obviously going to draw a lot of attention, so that can kind of free up some guys that Jadeveon can get around. But I don't know. I really don't know what's happened with him. I mean, obviously he's had injuries consistently. He just hasn't been able to play well enough. But hopefully he can turn it around this year because it's not like he's 35 or anything. He's still 28, so he should be
Yeah.
in the prime of his career. So maybe being paired with Miles, as I said, should help him.
So I think I thought he would have done better in Tennessee, of course, and that didn't happen. But I do agree. I think being paired up with Miles Garrett, you're gonna have plays where Garrett's gonna take a lot of the attention, and so Jadeveon should be able to get in and maybe get a sack or at least create some good disruption. And then there will probably be plays where Jadeveon will be gaining the attention, which then allows Garrett to get in. So either way, even if his production doesn't show on paper, I think he'll also be helpful for Miles Garrett's production, and they should
Yeah.
both benefit off each other should things go well. Like you said, he's 28. He should be in the prime of his career. So I love to see for him to bounce back next year with the Browns. And then the Browns have been becoming a monster, both offensively and defensively. So maybe this is what he needs. Maybe the coaching and everything will really, really bring out the Clowney that was picked number 1 overall.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment that a lot of what he'll do won't be on paper. I still need him to register a sack, but a lot of what defensive players do, isn't always shown on the stat sheet. Obviously, um, having those two bring a lot of pressure on the quarterback, force bad throws, force picks, not be able to run the ball. Uh, I think he can help a lot there.
Yeah.
Overall, he really needs to do a lot better than he did last season. I want to see this guy succeed. Um, no, do I think he'll be on Cleveland next year? I don't know. Yeah, I think it depends entirely on how well he does this year. That's why
Yeah.
they only gave him a 1-year contract, obviously.
I can easily see him getting an extension if, like what we said, happens. If he does boost Garrett's production, if Garrett boosts his production, and he puts some sacks on the stat sheet because he's got to. But if he has another season like Tennessee, I'm afraid he'll be looking for another 1-year contract somewhere else.
Yeah, I will agree with you there. So something we want to get into really quick is Andre Drummond. He's been kind of struggling the past few games ever since getting to LA. He did have one game where he put up 20 and 11 and another game where he put up 15 and 12. However, he's had 3 games where he scored less than 5 points. Even at his position, that's just overall unacceptable.
Yeah, so I mean, just to start off, of course, in his debut against the Bucks, he ended up getting injured, but we don't want to overlook the fact that he did play 3 quarters, and I believe he only put up 2 points in that game against the Bucks, and before getting injured, and playing 3 quarters and only scoring 2 as a center in today's league is just not really acceptable. And to quote Drummond himself from the other night, he did say that he believes this is the worst he's played offensively in a while, and he's just really trying to click with this Lakers team.
Yeah, I mean he's doing great as far as rebounding. I mean, compared to at least the last few games that he played in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Now Drummond can put up 15 plus in the rebound category when he wants to, like with ease. So I'm not really gonna put a whole lot of stock into it. But I feel like once he gets settled into the rotation, once LeBron comes back, once AD comes back, they kind of figure that thing out. I think he'll be good. Um, Pretty much the Lakers are just trying to get ready for the playoffs at this point. I don't think they really care too much about winning every single regular season game while their two best players by far are out.
I think one big thing for Andre Drummond is he's okay offensively, not naturally, but he is not he's not really a shot creator. Like he needs somebody to be able to facilitate his offense. And Dennis Schroeder is a great passer, great defender and things. But when you compare Dennis Schroeder's passing ability to LeBron's, LeBron is the much better offensive facilitator. So once
Yeah.
Drummond gets that kind of facilitator to push him, I believe he'll have a lot more opportunities to put some points up.
Yeah, I agree with there. Dennis Schroeder is playing point guard. Like LeBron is the point guard. If you get my drift there.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate runner of an offense. So, like you said, once they pair him with AD inside, once they get LeBron back with Schroeder, get guys off the bench playing well, I think the Lakers would be good. They got to turn it around pretty fast, though, because they don't want to be too far down in the standings, obviously. Even with LeBron and AD coming back, you'd rather be a higher seed than a lower seed. But,
Yeah.
either
And
way.
with the play-in tournament format, you definitely want to avoid falling into that. Now, I think if the Lakers were to wind up having to play a play-in game, that they'd easily win. But you don't want to put yourself into the stress of having to play those extra play-in games just to secure your playoff spot, especially when you have two top 5 players on your roster.
Yeah, because I mean, you can, like you said, I think they would win, but you can get caught at any moment.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the playing tournament. Luka wasn't too happy about it. He didn't really like it, but it's what they're trying to do this year since it's another COVID shortened season.
I think Luka and the Mavericks would be fine with the tournament if they weren't the ones having to go through it.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, once the guys come back, once they get set with the rotation, everything, I think they'll be good. One thing I don't understand though is what in the world is Kyle Kuzma talking about as far as saying, he's never really been coached before, in Detroit and Cleveland compared to now being on a championship team. I don't know what Kyle Kuzma is smoking here. I think Kyle's good, but he's starting to get in the delusion that he's some kind of like you ain't LeBron, bro. Like, shut up. Just chill.
See, if I'm a player, like if I'm your teammate or if I'm your coach or anything like that, and I have to worry about whether you're going to give me 20 or 2 every night, you don't get to talk about playing winning basketball. That's not allowed for you yet. Be consistent with the 20 or at least 15 or something like that. But if I have to worry that, okay, he's either going to come out and be the leading scorer with LeBron and AD out, or he's going to go out there and do nothing and look like a fool and let people pass around him while he just blankly stares into the stands, you can't talk about winning basketball.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to rag on Kuz because he is good, but
He's a good player.
Just he needs to get some better PR training because some of the stuff he says sometimes is just like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, he's not very. He's definitely interesting to watch in an interview because there's literally no telling what he'll say. He does not keep up to your usual professional standards of trying to keep it like a business. He's similar to Jimmy Butler in that he's just going to say what he wants to say, whether it sounds dumb or not.
Yeah, but at least Jimmy Butler is, Jimmy freaking Butler.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, they took LA, decently far considering the circumstances there. So,
yeah.
Either way, hopefully Drummond can get out of this funk and be the player that he's supposed to be, that everybody was claiming he's going to be some kind of, god when he comes in. but at least be efficient. There you go.
Yeah. I think, like we said, you put LeBron and AD back around him, he'll be fine. He should be. If not, then the Lakers have a problem.
Obviously. All right, y'all. So apparently over the weekend, it went down in the boom boom room in Pittsburgh. So NFL star Aaron Donald, probably the best defensive player in the league, one of the best players in the league, period, allegedly attacked a man outside of said nightclub over the weekend around 3 a.m. Obviously, nothing good can happen in a nightclub that early in the morning, especially on a Sunday morning like that. The man claims, well, the man's attorney, I should say, he claims that he needed 16 stitches, suffered a broken orbital bone, a broken nose, a concussion, and a sprained or broken arm from the attack.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a vicious attack, and I've seen memes about like you shouldn't go messing around with Aaron Donald, but it's not like the victim, Vincent Spriggs, like walked up and slapped Aaron Donald from what it says. According to most articles, Vincent Spriggs bumped into Aaron Donald in the boom boom room, and then was met outside of the boom boom room, and that's when the attack happened. And I mean, looking at the size of the man that Aaron Donald is, those injuries definitely do sound like they could be produced by him. Now, everything we have so far is used with allegedly, of course, because you got to keep things like that with your legal talk. So, not confirmed, but if it is, if that did happen, I'm curious to see what the NFL will do to Donald for that, and because that's a serious attack. I've never heard of somebody breaking someone's eye socket like that. So.
Yeah, I was surprised it wasn't really a bigger story concerning the fact that Aaron Donald is one of the most well-known names in the league. You know, getting accused of attacking somebody outside a nightclub, that's probably a pretty big deal. But I guess it's just the offseason, we just chalk it up to, it's just a week in the NFL. Now, if it went according to exactly what the guy says, obviously that's his position there. He's gonna make it seem like he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
According to him, he bumped into him, and then they got outside, and that's when Aaron, put the hands on him. If that's the case, then yeah, Aaron has a problem. He probably needs to be suspended for that. If he gets charged and everything, definitely, because that's you just can't beat people up.
Yeah.
In the instance that the guy who is accusing Donald actually, did something to him first, or it was just a straight up fight, like they just fought, and the guy just got beat by Aaron Donald, then don't sue or don't get in fights with dudes that look like Aaron Donald. Now, just because a dude is big doesn't mean he can fight, but like if you look at Aaron Donald and you think, yeah, I can take this man, get your head examined, please.
So,
or cease to drink.
Seeing pictures of Vincent Spriggs, I mean, of course, he looks like a rather buff man himself. However, Aaron Donald is probably like the buff man. Like when you think of that. So I would say that if it was just a fight and that it wasn't, as Spriggs puts it, just a bump in and then a whooping, I would say that maybe he should have chose his fight a little better. I would think that if it's true and Aaron Donald gets charged, he should be suspended, and he should definitely pay Vincent Spriggs something. The lawyer says that no amount of money will fix this, but I'm assuming that with all that kind of injuries, that Vincent Spriggs had quite the hospital bill, and
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
just know.
sure it would be pretty helpful to get some repayment.
Yeah, everything is allegedly right now. Aaron Donald hasn't come out and said anything as of Thursday evening. It probably won't. To be honest with you, that's probably the best thing. So we'll just have to see. They're investigating it. The police says they're reviewing it, reviewing footage, talking to the DA, all that crap, blah blah blah. So we'll see. But yeah, either way, I just say in general, just if you're an athlete, bro, just chill, especially at a nightclub with people that you don't even know, probably won't ever see again in your life. You know,
Yeah,
just chill.
there's no need for an incident like this. Like just take it easy. Just in
Yeah,
general, people don't need to go out and give somebody a concussion, broken arm, broken eye socket, and all that kind of stuff. Like just relax.
yeah, you know, especially a guy with the stature that Aaron Donald has. You know. All right, so that'll be it from the Boom Boom Room. All right, guys. So we're gonna go through a few quick topics here that we didn't get to earlier. So first up, we got
Luka Doncic's crazy game winner last night against the Memphis Grizzlies, and I say last night, we record this on Thursday, but essentially there was like zero point 0.6 seconds left. They inbound the ball to Luka, and it took what looked like a layup from just within the 3-point line, and it miraculously went in. Luka himself called it a lucky shot. So did the coach Rick Carlisle. But I mean, it was pretty impressive, lucky or not, and they got out of there with the win, and that's what matters.
yeah. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So they increased their lead over the Grizzlies for that seventh spot. Right now, they have 3 games ahead of them. So, you know, that'll definitely help considering, like we mentioned earlier, there is a play-in tournament. You can mess around and get caught and get out of the playoffs. So yeah, that win definitely helped. So next up, we got Justin Fields having his second pro day. He held this workout on Wednesday. Uh, this was specifically important because we saw the 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan and GM John Lynch show up. So, you know,
Mhm.
maybe San Francisco's thinking about taking him at number 3, possibly.
Yep, and we discussed last week some of the possibilities of Justin Fields becoming a 49er. So, and that stuff still stands, and maybe that's going to be more of a possibility now.
Yeah, I think he would work better than Mac Jones, but you know, maybe Kyle sees Mac as a project that he can fit into his offense once he gets Jimmy G out of there.
And of course, over the weekend, we had another big thing happen. We had the Masters, and Hideki Matsuyama ended up winning one stroke over Zalatoris. So kind of rode out in silence a little bit, and then popped up at the end and took the win. So very impressive, and he's the first Japanese golfer to win the Masters.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big thing to say, you know, even now in 2021, you know, we're still saying, you know, this is the first person to do this, but either way, great story for him. So next up, we got the NFL announcing a deal with sports betting. So Caesars, DraftKings, and FanDuel all signed a deal with the NFL to be their official, you know, sports betting, you know, partners of the NFL. So they'll be able to integrate their sports betting content directly into the NFL app, NFL.com. You know, they'll have certain different experiences that you'll have as far as highlights and footage. So that'll be interesting to see now that sports betting is pretty much a-okay.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a great move for the betting companies. I mean, now they get to do things without having to worry about like being copyrighted or anything like that, and they get to get definitely more promotion, even though they were already all pretty big. But now they're directly integrated into the league, so it's really great for them. And yeah, like you said, betting has just become like an a-okay thing. So guess why not?
Yep. I mean, we just saw a dude, what, a year ago, I think. I think he was a Cardinals player. He got pretty much removed from the league for a year for sports betting. Yep. And now it's totally okay. So, you know, we'll see how that works. Either way, the NFL will be making money.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's all about there. And lastly, just real quick, as we speak, the WNBA draft is actually going on right now. And just now, we had the number 3 pick for the Atlanta Dream, B.R. McDonald from Arizona, who, you know, popped off during March Madness this year.
Yeah, I think that'll definitely be a great pick, but we don't want to go too deep into that. You can catch more of our breakdown on the WNBA draft coming later this week.
Yeah, so we'll be covering that next week, like you said.
Yep. So that's all for you guys today. We hope you enjoyed listening. This has been Jaboc the Great. I was here with T Brown 31 from the Takedown Sports.
Thank y'all for tuning in. As always, like, comment, subscribe. We will see y'all later.